Greetings, dear ones. I am Sonia, the host of the Treasure Is You podcast. Let us aspire to be the greatest forms of physical expression by allowing our presence to navigate our life journey through the highways of our mind, the roads of infinite potential, and within the inner sanctum of our heart, knowing that the treasure is you. Hello, dear ones. As you can see, I have a lovely guest on the Treasures You podcast. And first, I would like to give a brief description of him. He works with Certain Future, a company that he created, and he supports parents and preteens 10 through 14 years of age so they can show up and maintain a meaningful relationship with their child during these natural identity breaking years. He works with parents who know the value of doing hard things and want to be present with their son or daughter before it's too late to bridge the gap. With a multicultural background himself, born to a Filipino mother and a Bahamian father, Marcus finds particular joy in supporting families to communicate across generational and cultural divides. His own diverse upbringing, coupled with over a decade and a half of international experience across East Asia, Europe, Southeast Asia, the Middle East, and South America, has given him unique insight into cross-cultural communication. Now he is on a mission to globally mend parent and children relationships through effective communication and shares storytelling using the Show Up framework. So I welcome you, Marcus Higgs, to the Treasure Is You podcast.
Hey, Sonia, it's wonderful to be here. Thank you for that.
Yes, you are welcome. You are quite welcome. Let me tell you, first, I would like to say that I think it is phenomenal of what you're doing in the world. I like to call it foundational work because you are creating a foundation, you're helping to have a solid foundation for our teens and our parents, because we have to realize that our parents as well need help because of their upbringing. They probably were not in a family dynamic that didn't have love or did not communicate. So they're just doing what they know, right? So here you come and you're helping to mend the parent and child relationship. So I think that's phenomenal. Yes.
I hear what you're saying, and I feel called to the work, divinely called. I'm going so on to say. I hear you say, I'm here to mend it, and I love it's called Empowered Sovereign, because I respect the wisdom of the parent to mend it. I'm here but a message.
Yes.
I'm delivering that message.
Yes.
I feel that I was called to, and that message invites you to do the work.
Yes. I love that. I really do. I really do, because I feel like you said you're a messenger, and I feel I'm a messenger as well. And you are getting a message out to help mend. You're helping them at least to walk in the right direction, at least have these conversations, making the space for preteens and parents to find this unity, to find this space to where they can come together, right? And whatever whatever issue it may be in the family dynamic, you are at least addressing that and helping them to be able to communicate effectively, right? Because in this world,
Yes.
at least I know for myself, my upbringing, I was with parents that were not very good communicators as well. And I
Mm,
had to learn. I was an observer my whole entire
yeah.
life as a child. And I just observed a lot. And that's what
Mm,
helped me. Now, here you are, and you're helping people across the globe. And I think that's phenomenal. Yes, yes. So let's talk now about, and you can go into detail about, let me make sure I say this correctly, the show up framework. What does it stand for? And you can just go into detail so the viewers can understand.
awesome. So just to back up a little bit, just to tell you
Okay.
why I'm working with them. Yeah, for
Yes.
sure. We were talking about this in the pre-conversation. I believe life is continually asking, who are you?
Yes.
We answer, I am, and what follows that, right? So in life, it's very similar to the hero's journey that we go on again and again and again. The whole point of the hero's journey is that you might come into an understanding of yourself. In ancient Rome, they said, know thyself and you will understand the secrets of gods and men. And I'm totally in line with you in people understanding their sovereign, their identity, taking that on and being empowered in it as a creator.
Right.
Now, we realize this through stress. Everything that grows is first stressed. With growth mindset, you could have fixed mindset and a growth mindset, and they look the same until it is challenged.
Right.
And then you see how it shows up. Now, if you're familiar with ACEs, adverse childhood experiences concept, it's when the stress is chronic, when the stress is erratic, you don't know when it's coming, and when that stress is unmanageable, like it breaks you. Ideally, the stress is manageable. You know when it's coming and you know when you can tap out. That's just like exercising. If you stress like that and then you rest and you oscillate, that's how things grow.
Right.
Now, the first major breaking when a person is going from dependent to independence.
Mm-hmm.
Every level, every part of human development has its different stressors. And I'm really tuned into this one right here because this is in foundational years, as you were saying. There are three things that go on here in my approach. I call it ICE, ICE, identity breaking. We have new roles that we're going to lean into coming into adolescence. There's collaborative mistrust. We don't know who to trust in this moment. So that's why our senses are heightened.
Yeah.
And biologically, we're supposed to have heightened senses because nature is pushing us out the nest, to use a different metaphor. So we have to be sensitive as to say what's safe and what's not safe. We're trying to feel this out. Parents, their role is still to keep us safe.
Right.
But then parents' role is also to do it gradually, and that's the balance that oftentimes many people aren't trained in. And then E is emotional management, ICE. It's a wall of ice that we put up, and we don't know at that age how to manage our emotions. It's the first time at the rodeo. We're new to the game. And ideally, we have adults, wise adults in our lives who can come into our heads and walk with us to make sense of it. Now, I came up with the show up framework. And what the show up framework is, this is really human development for sovereign beings. I say I work with the parent in transformational coaching with the thing that's most relevant to them, and that is their kid. In conscious parenting, we say kids are given to us that we might realize who we are because those are our own stressors, if you will. Yeah. But it's never the thing. It's how we relate to the thing. So I've said a lot so far. I'm going to take a break just to see where we're at, and then I'll go into the show up framework. But anything land there for you, Sonia?
Let me tell you.
Yeah,
I mean, what you just said is just... I'm just sitting here. I'm a student right now. Okay. I'm a student and I'm learning from you.
I'll tell you this much, right? There's another one for parents. To teach is to learn twice. So
there you go. Yes.
I am an educator. So I did teach grade 12, grade 9, and grade 5. And these are the conversations I would have in the classroom with the parent-teacher conversations. And let's jump into it. S is start with a strong identity.
Okay.
All behavior comes from identity. And just like we said in our pre-conversation, I believe we are born whole. Right? People move towards your expectations as well. And I believe there are virtues and values with everybody. And what that means is there's something from positive psychology called virtues in action. From ancient wisdom to modern science, in every religion or faith-based group, every community, if you are human, human, you have virtues. And what virtues are aspects of us that work towards our individual well-being and our collective well-being, such as leadership, kindness, gratitude, creativity. All right, these are called virtues in action. Right. And our values just basically is what's important to you. For some people, it is finances. For some people, it's family. Every person has a unique thing, what's valuable to them, and the virtues by which they enact. When you look for this, you're actually inviting the person into their higher self to say, hey, look, I see you as a creator, and I want to help you create through your virtues and values. You're already setting them up to actually live into that, because we are the stories we tell ourselves.
Yes.
And if we're taking these stories on from our caregivers and our parents and keep them in our lives, it's just like, oh yeah, I really am that. And there's a framework that I have of bringing out the identity, and it's not just wildly saying it. It's no, you're speaking to evidence and examples of where I see this in your life, because the voice with which you speak to children becomes a voice with which they speak to themselves.
Right.
It starts with a strong identity.
Yes.
Now I have the parent go through this, and I have them do this with their kid. Yeah. H is hold space for collaboration.
Okay.
As we're being stressed, people oftentimes say, what's wrong with me? It's like, ain't nothing wrong with you, boo. You just growing.
Right.
That's what growing pains are. And matter of fact, you're going to be supported in this, because if you're not meeting expectations, it's either one of three things. Either one, you don't have the skills to do it, and kids don't have the skill, but they oftentimes think, what's wrong with me? Either one, you don't have the skills. Two, you don't feel supported in making an effort.
Right.
So you don't make an effort. Watch the balloons now. Or three, you just don't care. And the thing is, when I say you don't care, it may not be important to you. That's one thing. Or kids actually want to do well.
Yes.
If they can do well, they will do it well.
Yes.
So then we help them with those skills and that support. And that's where we have hold space for collaboration and critical thinking. And it's called autonomy supportive parenting, or collaborative problem solving. It's a whole approach to letting the kid know you're on their side and you're actively listening to them while figuring out solutions together. And it breaks up the tension in the relationship.
Wow.
There still will be tension. Like, don't get me wrong. In all relationships, there's conflict, but that doesn't define the relationship. What defines the relationship is how we deal with the conflict.
Right. Wow. Let me tell you, you are deep. We need this. Okay.
I was going to say, this is me on a random Tuesday. You just caught me one day late.
I love it. Right. I love this, because I just want to ask you this question. Okay, you said you taught 12th grade. Did you say 12th grade? Yeah. What other grade? Like 11th or 9th? 9th. Okay.
And then I had to do a maternity leave for 5th grade.
Okay. So was this recent, or like 10 years ago, 5 years ago? Like, was it today?
No, this would be about 3 years ago. I was in class. I came out of class to do coaching maybe 2 years ago. And then I still went as a substitute because I have skills. But I really came out of traditional education, and that's a longer conversation. But I still go and teach when they ask me to, because I love the classroom.
Yeah.
But I also want to be more effective with what I have.
Yes. So I want to ask you, so with the 12th grades and even the 9th graders, what did you see, like a common trend, or they had fear or something, growing up? Did you see a lot of acting out? You said, because it starts with identity. I want to know, like, back then, you said 3 years ago, like 12th graders, how were they? Did you see a lot of insecurity, a lot of trying to figure out who they are? Did you see them, trying to fit in? What did you see? Well, I'm curious, especially in this technological world,
So there was a book that came out by Jonathan Haidt, the generation, the anxious generation.
Okay.
Jonathan Haidt. And when screens came about in 2012, they noticed a sharp incline in a lot of the mental health issues. And that's actually why I feel called to the work that I'm doing. It is about well-being. And we had a conversation about that.
Yes.
I got to read their journals. When I say I got to read their journals, they understood I was reading them. But we would go back in. Writing is a big part for me. I love language. Yes, I saw the anxiety building. I see what I'm curious about people. I love people.
Yes.
I don't love your kids as more than you, right? But I love people. And I saw what they were going through. It's everything that you said, everything that anybody who's been a teenager was going through. I will say it's compounded now with screens. To put it in the way I say it, when we started living more on our screens,
Right.
we're now living with our identity behind a piece of glass. And when
Right.
that glass is closed, the question is still, who am I?
Right.
And if you don't know who you are, you cannot manage stress. So I notice kids, yeah, of course, they're more anxious. And you don't have to look to me to say that. Like, that's in the science. That's
Yeah.
in for the English speaking developed world. We notice that uptick. It's interesting. And I
It's
say interesting
interesting.
because that's the challenge of our time. And I think that, fingers crossed, I mean, I'm a hopeful person. When I say hopeful, I am taking actions to bring about the future I want to live in. I
Right.
believe AI will bring about a time where we can have a lot of other work automated and we can
Mm-hmm.
focus on being human.
Yes.
That's really the coming age that I think is coming.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe the new currency is going to be one of trust. Right now, it's the information age and then the attention age. Next, it's going to be the trust age, because we won't know what to trust on the outside and the inside. And what inside trust is confidence. It's confidere. That's self-trust.
Right. Wow. Yes. I see that the whole world is changing. It's changing in a way that a lot of people may not understand. I speak really spiritually and
I, just preaching to the choir. Go on. And
and
mind you, Sonia, Sonia, I'll say it like this. I'm BYOB, bring your
yeah.
own beliefs. I've done East, West, everything in between. I've met every type of person in every type of faith belief. So I know who I am, and
Yes.
I recognize you being me from a different perspective. And I welcome all
Right.
of me, so I welcome all of you.
Yeah.
And I just want to give that context. So
Yes. Yes. I'm hopeful as well. I'm very hopeful. And I see in every single person, I see their potential. So when I speak to anybody, this is just who I am now. Like, I've been initiated my entire life. Like, seriously, from a child. Like, this has been my journey. Like, this conversation we're having, I love it because it's about us. It's about us learning about our well-beingness, about us being sovereign beings. And I am very hopeful, just like you are. And I do certain things as well. So every action and every word that I say is to help anybody who is aligned with wanting to do better in their life or wanting to connect with their authentic self. And yeah, so I'm very hopeful and for of the future. That's what I'm trying. That's where I'm going at. I'm very hopeful for the future. But as I say that, I know that for each person, you are going to have to go through the steps on your journey, whether it is painful, if it's hard, it all depends on your perception, right? So, but as I said, I'm very hopeful. I'm very hopeful. And that's why we're having this conversation, because you're hopeful as well, right?
yeah,
Right?
and
We're not
it's not blind
silent.
hope. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not silent. Like, I used to be silent when I was a child. I barely spoke because I was witnessing. I was learning from the people around me, all the violence that was around me. I was in a very toxic family myself, and I learned from that. I
Yeah.
really didn't talk much. I didn't have self-esteem. I was very
Mhm.
low self-esteem because of the family dynamic that I was in. But I laugh now because I can't stop talking. Like now.
if, if
Yeah.
if I could say, and these are my words, not yours, but you
Yeah.
learned how to play small because you weren't sure inside the environment what expansion looked like, and it conditioned you to play small, if you will, and you had to observe because you don't know what right is, but you know what's wrong, and this ain't right.
Yes. That's how I was. That's how I was as a child. I would look around, I would shake my head. I would see people lying to one another, being mean. And as a child, I would shake my head like, what is going on here? What are
Yeah.
these people doing to each other? Like, that was me, like my entire life.
Yeah.
I just, seriously, I did not understand ethnic issues as well, like everything. I didn't understand any of that stuff. I was
Mm,
just processing it,
for
trying to
sure.
learn. So when I became an adult, I put a lot of the pieces together and I was able to figure out a
Yes.
lot of stuff. Yes. And that's why I'm hopeful, because
Yes.
I am a voice, which, as I said, when I was younger, I didn't have a voice because I was learning, I was observing everything. So I want to
Mhm.
ask you
Mhm.
next, from your show up
What's up?
framework. What? Go ahead.
We didn't finish the O and the W.
Oh yeah, that's what I was going to
just,
say.
just,
Let's go back to that. Yes, please. Let's
yeah,
go
yeah,
back
go on.
to that. Yes. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Just real quick, the O is open up communication. So I am a
Yeah.
communication coach. I did study communication in university, and the quality of your life is directly related to the quality of your communication. Your ability to talk with and understand yourself, and talk with and understand others through the misunderstandings.
Yes.
The W is wonder and explore the world together. So doing hard things that's self-directed, that you choose as a sovereign being, and it's effortful, but it's in line with your identity, which is why you stick with it. And then UP is unveiling your potential. That means celebrating when you're living in your identity. There's no
Yes.
greater privilege than to be who you are. There's no greater privilege than to be who you are. So when you realize it, yes, yeah, I'll clap with you, Sonia. Like,
I'm
yeah,
clapping
we don't
with you.
celebrate ourselves enough. So that's the show up framework.
Yes. That is so true. Let me just, the communication or all of it, but I'm just open up communication. That's the O, right?
Mm-hmm.
That
That's right.
is so important, right? Wouldn't you say so?
Mm-hmm.
Communication
Yes, yes.
across the board.
I'll tell you this, right? The word resent comes from re, meaning again, sentar, meaning to feel.
Yes.
Senter is the Latin, meaning to feel. You
Yeah.
resent because it doesn't go out from your mouth. It goes back inside up and it builds up. That's why you resent people. Unless you
Wow.
can express it in a safe space or even express it on paper to organize your own ideas to let it be seen by the divine or yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to resent people. And that's why we need communication to remove resentment and remove fear.
Yes. Wow. I really want you to repeat that, but that's powerful what you just said. And what you just said, no, for
And it,
real, that may go over some people's head, what you just said, but I got it.
well, when you shut down communication or when a person's not seen, witnessed. It, so there's this neurobiologist called Dan Siegel. He says
Mm-hmm.
to be seen, to be secure, to be safe, and to be safe, secure, seen, and soothed. So when you go through your troubles, you're comforted, nurtured.
Yeah.
If we don't do that, and they can't express themselves, as you were speaking about your growing up, they will learn to resent these things that shut them down.
Right. Wow. As you just said that, I just got a picture of somebody that's close to me that
Mm.
at times is like that. Well, I just got a visual
Mhm.
picture in my mind because of what you just said. See, so what you just said is a piece of the puzzle in life that all of the collective, they may go through it in certain dynamics in their family, at their job, in school, right? With their
Mm.
friends, and they don't even know it. Like, they're not conscious, they don't have that conscious awareness to key into what you just said. But because of what you're doing, the work that you are bringing into the world, helping parents and children, you are helping to bridge the gap for future generations. So this will no longer be the case. I mean, I
Mm.
literally can see that. I'm not saying like overnight. I mean, it's a
For
process.
sure.
Everything is a process. Everybody has to go through their steps, right, on their journey. But you are bridging the gap. You're helping to bring this communication, which is very essential in life across the board. And as I said earlier, That's phenomenal. Thank you. Thank you for doing this. Yes. So I would like to
Thank you.
right now, is there anything else like we're going to add to we got the show up. You went through all of the letters, and you're a phenomenal person. You are really I admire you for what you're doing. You speak at an elevated capacity, and it elevates you, it helps you, it soothes you, it really does, it soothes the mind, because it's like you comfort that child, that parent, to say it's going to be okay, it's going to be okay, because I hear you, I see you. That's what you're doing.
You know, I hear you, and your words are very well received. Your words are very well received. There was a poem that I wrote when I was 16 years old, and I'm only going to say the first stanza of it, the first part. It's called I Am. It is a poem about identity, and it says, I am a messenger, sanctified to speak with a divine voice, and know it was not of my own choice, rather God's will be done, because I am part of a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a special person used to proclaim the praise of him who called me out of darkness into the marvelous light. You see, I am the mic, and the Lord is my controller. So every time I step center stage, I'm representing for Jehovah, with the Holy Spirit in the middle of my existence, reminding me of a gift that was heaven sent. See, I'm speaking of the word. And it goes on and on and on. And when I say, be mindful of the voice with which you speak to children, for in time that becomes a voice with which they speak to themselves. That's why I speak like that.
Yes.
From a young age.
Yeah.
That's what I grew up on.
Wow. Yeah. Well, let me tell you, it's being felt. I feel it. And it's being felt through all of the parents and the children that you have helped. And you are bridging the gap. So I would like to ask you now. Well, you were going to say something? No, I was going to ask you because I have on the screen your website, so people can go there if any parents need any type of help or direction. They can, go to your website and see whatever they need. I wanted to ask you if you have any last words that you would like to say to the viewers, and then we're going to round up the podcast. But let me tell you, it is a pleasure to have you on The Treasure Is You. You are a messenger. I feel your energy, which is just amazing. Yes. So go for it.
You go to marcushiggs.com, as it's on the screen. Right after this podcast, I'm recording a workshop, some videos for a workshop of S. It starts with a strong identity. Mm-hmm. It's an email course that I'll be uploading. So I'm not sure when this is going up, but in 2 days, make sure to get down the editing and everything. It'll be up. That said, last thing is, as parents, when we fall short of our own expectations, when we create ruptures, breakages inside our own relationships, remember, that's time for repairing and reconnecting. And like we said, all relationships have conflict, but what defines it is how we deal with the conflict. If you're not living into the identity you want, say, this is what I did wrong, this is how I make it right, and this is what I promise going forward. Because trust is built over time. Don't get hard on yourself. We get up, we get back at it. It may not, like you said, it won't be overnight, but again, it's over time. Right. Yeah, let's change the world, and that means by changing ourselves individually.
Yes, yes. That's where it starts. Yes, by changing ourselves first. That's how we do it. So again, I want to just thank you, Marcus, for gracing us with your presence on the Treasure Is You podcast. And I always say to my listeners and my viewers to always stay in the present now moment. Enjoy the steps of your journey. Learn from them, whether it's painful, joyful, or whatever the case may be. Just be conscious and learn from them, and do not rush, because this is not a race. We need to appreciate the steps of our journey, because you are going to learn. These are like golden nuggets of learning. Each step it is, and each person in your life is here to teach you something that you may have missed within yourself. And lastly, remember that the treasure is you. So take care and namaste.